Hello everyone and welcome back to Ask Dr. Alex. You join me for a very special episode. I'm here in Istanbul to find out more about medical tourism. There's been so much in UK press in recent years, quite negative stories about procedures here in Turkey. I'm here with Clinic Centre, who've given me unrestricted access to speak to patients and surgeons to find out their experiences and find out the truth. Today, I'm at Clinic Centre's plastic surgery clinic, where every year hundreds of UK patients come to have their procedures. The most popular procedures are breast surgeries, implants, reductions, uplifts, liposuction and abdominoplasty, probably better known as a tummy tuck. I'll be speaking to female patients who've undergone the procedures to change their bodies and find out why. Hi Connie, Margaret, thanks so much for taking time to talk to me today. Could you tell me a little bit about why you decided to have plastic surgery?
I've got two young kids, so after having two emergency sections, I was left with a lump of fat that wouldn't go away. My stomach wouldn't flatten no matter what exercise or diet that I tried to do. So this, for the liposuction, seemed to be my only option, really, all that I had left to do.
I had a hysterectomy about 14 years ago, and it left me with a piece of skin that would not go, no matter how much I exercised, no matter how thin I got. So for about the last 12 years, I've really wanted this. It's made me very self-conscious about wearing anything that was close-fitting, because I could see this lump in the bottom of my stomach. So eventually I decided that enough was enough and I needed to get my quality of life back and feel good again.
So once you decided to have plastic surgery, what made you decide to come here to Turkey and the Clinic Centre to have your procedures?
Well, for me, I actually went online and Googled the best place in the world to have a surgery, to have a tummy tuck. And this place came up. So with the help of our friend Connie, the both of us decided we'll do a lot of research. And the research came back very positive. And the results from here was really positive. And, you know, the top place in the world was to come here.
So there's a lot in the news about plastic surgery and sometimes quite negative stories about coming here to Turkey and having procedures. Do you think this is fair? What's your experience?
I really don't have any negative things to say about coming here. I was scared because obviously I've read everything in the paper like what everybody else has read. But everybody wants to sell a bad story. Nobody wants to sell a good story. So there was obviously the bad press with regards to coming to Turkey. We've not had any bad experiences. No. The hospital has been brilliant. The care that we've received from the staff, the hosts and everybody else as well as at Clinic Centre has been brilliant. If not the same, if not better than we probably would have received in the UK. So no, we're quite happy with what our results from the surgery and everybody else outside we've got here. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For anyone that's thinking about having a procedure and coming to Turkey, what would you kind of give them as advice?
Do your research. And, you know, go online, don't just look at the negative, because people will always publish negative. But do your research and, you know what, make sure that you do it properly and talk to people.
Pretty much is what Margaret's saying. I spent hours and hours researching all different clinics, but found this was the best clinic. The surgeon was always getting loads of good reviews as well that we went with. Don't believe all the hype in the papers. As we say, everybody wants to sell a bad story, not a good story. We've had great treatment here. We generally have. We haven't got a bad thing to say about it. I would say definitely go for it.
Thank you both so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I hope you both recover well and enjoy your journey home.
Thank you.
So earlier I spoke to Connie and Margaret, both of whom had surgery 5 days ago. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the difference between a liposuction and a tummy tuck?
Yes, for deciding the procedure in all kinds of body sculpting procedures, we look first, examine the skin tonus. If skin is tight, so removal of the fat with liposuction is enough. But if there is skin laxity, skin excess, then we have to cut the skin, because after removal of the fat from under the skin, then the skin becomes excess also after liposuction. So we advise the patients to use garments. But sometimes the skin is so lax that cannot be achieved with garments for tightening. So we do them lifting procedures. Tummy tuck is one of the examples.
Both of them seem very pleased with the results. Would you say in general, most patients who come here have, good and satisfactory results?
Complications are very less in this kind of surgery because we mainly work under the skin, not in deeper structures. So healing is fast and complications are less.
Good surgeons should make sure you have realistic expectations from your surgery and not promise perfection. They should ask you lots of questions about why you want to have the procedure to make sure it's in your best interest. If you do decide to have surgery abroad, make sure you go with a provider that offers a consultation in person so that you can ask anything you'd like to before the surgery. Also check that they provide aftercare, not only in the hotel, but when you return back to the UK. I'd also advise asking about the return flight, because flying too soon after surgery can be dangerous. Cosmetic dentistry is becoming increasingly popular in the UK, with many Brits looking for the perfect smile. Unlike most healthcare in the UK, not all dental work is covered by the NHS. If you are looking for cosmetic work, especially for veneers or crowns, it can prove very expensive. Crowns starting at prices ranging from £500 to £1,000. So it's not surprising, therefore, that people look abroad for their treatment. Clinic centre prices start at around £200 per crown, which is a lot cheaper than the UK. I'm going to be speaking to Elizabeth to find out if the price is the only reason she came to Turkey for her treatment. We have a before and after behind us. So this was last week, right?
Yes, it was.
And then this is the results that we've come to today, or was it yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, last night.
What made you decide to come to Turkey for your treatment?
So I had a consultation a couple of years ago with a dentist that I had a brace with a couple of years ago. He quoted me £6,000 for 6 veneers.
Wow.
And I've obviously got this many teeth for not even half the price. So
wow.
It's really worth coming over here.
So how many teeth was that quoted for?
In the UK,
Yeah.
6.
And you've had?
Here, 20.
20 teeth?
Yeah.
For half the price?
For half the price, yeah.
It does seem to be a big part of the reason that people come out here is the
Yeah.
price difference. Was there any other aspect that made you come to Turkey, or was it mainly the price?
Well, definitely the results that I've seen, because I follow them on Instagram and their results are just amazing. And then I did actually message quite a few people that have had the treatments with the clinic centre before as well, just because I wanted to make sure they were legit and they looked after you and everything like that. So I had some real good feedback, so that was what spurred me on to book it.
Did you have any concerns at all? Anything you were worried about? Because obviously there's a lot of stories in the press about going abroad for these kind of treatments. Were you afraid?
A little bit, yeah. I think it's sort of a risk that you have to take if you want to do it. But I think all the risk and all the worries were put to bed once I spoke to the ex-patients from the clinic centre.
It does seem that aftercare is a big talking point for a lot of people, and the concern is if you go back to the UK and you can't see someone, what do you do next? So is that an important thing for you to have aftercare?
I think so, because if you're going to travel all the way out here, spend all this money, you need to know that if something does go wrong, there's going to be someone there to help you. But I have been assured that there's a place opening in London. So fingers crossed nothing will go wrong, but if it does, I know that there is someone there to help me.
And you're glad that you did?
Really glad, yeah. It will change my life, like my confidence will be amazing now.
What we're seeing in the UK at the moment is an ever-growing trend of people looking to have cosmetic dental work to look for a perfect smile. Why do you think this is becoming so popular?
According to me, health has two branches, like a mental branch and the physiological branch. Maybe you can chew properly, you have no pain, but when you look at the mirror, you're not happy, you cannot smile properly, and this makes you not feel good. After having whiter, straighter and aligned teeth, when you look at the mirror, you can smile, and this can change your life. Changing your smile literally can change your life, and you can feel yourself more confident.
Obviously you're performing a lot of procedures, many thousands. How many cases are there where you have complications? What kind of percentage?
Only 1% of risk we see. And this caused by the not brushing, not maintaining the oral hygiene properly.
Is this similar to around the world?
This is our success, I think.
So a lot of people come to Turkey, I understand, because it's cheaper, it's more affordable. Why is that the case? How do you make it so much cheaper?
In Turkey, the rents are cheaper, salaries for the workers are cheaper. That's why it's a little bit cheaper than the world.
Dental treatments are becoming more and more commonplace, especially abroad where the prices are cheaper. Lower labour costs and also rental costs bring down the price for the customer. My advice would be to do your research. Search for reputable companies that you can trust and also speak to any friends and family that have been abroad for similar treatments. I'd also say that materials used in reputable companies are similar or the same to that in the UK. Just do your research. So many people are affected by hair loss, which can occur at any age with considerable impact on self-confidence. This can occur for many reasons, but in the case of male pattern baldness, the hair doesn't regrow. Hair transplant surgery has become increasingly popular, especially amongst men, and is the most popular procedure here at the clinic centre. I'm going to be speaking with Adam today about his experience. Hello, hi. So with the hair transplant itself, it seems like it takes quite a while. It's quite a slow process, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We are transplanting one by one. Actually, there are 3 phases for hair transplant. After local anesthesia, first phase is extraction, and we are using micromotor for that. And we are extracting them one by one, and it takes like around 2 hours. And then we are opening canals. It takes like 1 hour, and this is the most important phase of the hair transplant. And the last phase, actually the easiest phase and also the longest phase, which is transplantation, and we are transplanting the grafts one by one to the received area.
Is the patient having any discomfort during the procedure?
No, actually, as I mentioned, there is no pain after the local anesthesia. They don't feel anything. I mean, as you can see behind you. I mean, he looks very
Adam looks very comfortable, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice to see you again.
Hello.
Thank you for letting me watch your surgery yesterday. How are you doing today?
Good.
You feel all right?
Real good.
And I just want you to tell me a little bit, if possible, about the journey that led you to having your hair transplant. What made you decide to have one?
Well, I've been unsure for the last couple of years, and then my friend come out. I thought I'd wait for results, see it properly, and his looks really good. So I got in touch with him, and then they rang me up saying, can I go to London? Went down to London, met the people there, really nice, welcoming, and then moved on, come over here.
What made you really want to have a hair transplant? Was it kind of how it made you feel, like your hair?
Yeah, I think anyone would be lying if they say it wasn't, you know, your friends mocking you, having a bit of a joke, having a bit of a laugh, you know. And
so how did your procedure go?
at first, bit of pain numbing it. As soon as your head's numb, can't feel anything.
Can't feel anything.
Nothing.
And what advice would you give to someone if they were thinking about having a hair transplant?
I believe if you go into a foreign country, doesn't matter what foreign country, it's cheaper. But if you've got people in the UK where you can go and speak to, they must be pretty good because you can get hold of them in the UK. You know what I mean? It's not a case of you have to come back out to Turkey to find them, get in contact with them. I know I could just go to London.
How much does this kind of hair transplant package cost?
Cost me about 1,400.
Okay, and how does that compare to the UK?
Just about a quarter, if not less. I think it's about 5,000.
So it's considerably cheaper then?
Yeah, a lot cheaper.
And do you feel that you would have had the same level of treatment here as what you've had in the UK? Do you feel confident that you've had good care?
Yeah, so far I've had perfect care.
And from what you've said, you spoke to your friends before that came out here, and that played a big part of the decision?
Yeah, definitely. I don't care where you go, England, Turkey, anywhere, you hear good and bad. So when you see results, results matter. So when I see my mates and these look perfect, that sold it to me.
If you do decide to have a hair transplant, make sure you discuss the pros and cons of each technique with your doctor to find a method that best suits you. If you do decide to have a hair transplant abroad, make sure you go with a service like Clinic Centre that offers aftercare in the UK so that when you arrive home, you're able to see someone with any questions or problems. Why is it so much cheaper to have plastic surgery here in Turkey than in the UK?
Well, once you check the living costs of Turkey and the facilities costs, that is where the difference comes. Let's say one nurse is paid around £600 in Turkey, but with the same qualification, she will get paid more than 3,500. And also for the private hospital fees, are about £500 in Turkey for a simple plastic surgery, but in UK you need to pay more than 2,000. So there are many cost savings in the whole process, and when you add them up, even with the flights and accommodation, all the cost package cost is much less than compared to having treatment in the UK.
What are the risks of having plastic surgery abroad?
Any surgery carries risks, but as clinic center, our goal is to make cosmetic surgery as safe as possible. So therefore, all of our hospitals that we are working with are certified by GSI, which is Joint Commission International, and also TÜV, and also by AISO. So therefore, we make sure that all of our patients are treated at the very high quality standards. As an A&E doctor, you know that the general hospitals are very important because they have all the medical units and also intensive care unit at the hospital. Even though we hadn't have any serious complication after surgeries, it's always good to have that you have intensive care unit once it is needed. Therefore, it's very important for us that the treatments are taking place in general hospitals. And also it's very important that after patient is discharged, they are going to stay in a hotel which is located very near to the hospital. But in the UK, once you are discharged, you are sent to the home, which might be miles away from the hospital. And also at the hotel, we provide nurse service, so which brings that even if you have any issues, the nurse is there, and then you will ask her questions or anything on that location.
So what you're saying is that you're well regulated, and also that you provide the care at the time and aftercare that patients need.
Well, actually, we start contacting patients at London, and then we are with them while they're in Turkey, and even while they go back to the UK, we are with them as well.
What are the risks of flying after surgery?
Well, there's a misconception in the UK public that patients are flown right back to the UK. It's not the case, at least in our practice. What we do is actually, at least they stay one night at the hospital, and after doctor sees them and checks they're okay to discharge, and then they are discharged to the hotel. And before they leave, they are examined at least 2 times by the plastic surgeon that they are okay to fly back. So, and the final one is just 1 day before the departure, so that we make sure patient is ready for fly back, and also doctor also gives a paper that she is ready to fly back.
And a lot of your patients are here even a week after if they need to be, is that right?
Yes, that's right. I mean, most commonly patients stay here like 5 to 10 days depending on their surgeries.
Why do you think people should use a service like Clinic Centre rather than maybe Googling or finding their own surgeon?
One of the other advantages we provide for the patient is that we are not a marketplace that we work with every doctor. Actually, we are a patient advocate that we strictly check the doctor's background, their medical schools, where they worked until now, where they studied, and also we talk with the prior patients, we check their before afters, and then if we are okay with them, then we start working. So therefore, this is not something a normal British person. We start giving the service in London, and then it continues in Turkey, that we provide the treatment, hotel, the transfer, everything they don't need to think of. And then at the hotel, we provide the nurse service. And once the patient is ready to go back to the UK, they know that if something happens, we are with them. So our care is quite unique in the market.
So you're saying basically you provide a full loop, a full
Yes.
closed loop.
Yes.
Cosmetic surgery is not something anyone should undertake lightly. Like any medical procedure, there are of course risks. If you do decide to go abroad, here are some of my tips. Make sure you do your research about your surgeon, find out about their accreditation and as many patient journeys as possible. Also consider using a local conduit. They know the market really well and can give you some advice. Also make sure, whoever you go with, that they have good aftercare and that you'll be looked after when you return to the UK. So my journey here in Istanbul has come to an end. It's been so interesting to speak to patients and doctors about their experiences of cosmetic surgery. I think the take-home message, regardless where you are, is to think long and hard before having any cosmetic procedure and make sure you do your research. Thank you so much to Clinic Centre for organising this trip, and to everyone involved, the patients and doctors, for speaking to me. Thank you everyone at home for watching.